Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Bobby Pominville, and I'm your reporter on the arts. And today I'm going far afield to a wonderful art of ballet. And I have a guest who's an expert in these things, and I would like to welcome Marcia Keegan to the show.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you so much for coming. She is a ballet instructor at the FIPS, and actually more than just the FIPS, but I'm just kind of zeroing in on that for now. But I do want you to tell us about what you do in the cities too. So welcome to the show, and can we start with maybe how you got your background in dance and what inspired you to go into ballet?
Yes.
Okay.
I started when I was about 6 years old at a neighborhood studio. I could walk there with my mother, and we did all forms of dance, tap, ballet, jazz, acrobatics in 1 hour.
Really?
Yes. And then from there...
Great exposure there.
Yes. It was really fun. And so then from there, I decided that I liked jazz, and I also liked ballet.
Oh.
So as you get older and you take more classes, you have to kind of decide and pick which one you really would like to do. And for some reason, I was really drawn to the ballet.
You were?
I was. I think.
Now, that sounds like one of the more difficult things to me.
I think that it is, but it's also the foundation that helps you with every other form of dance that you do.
Really?
Yes. And I wanted to be on point, up on those shoes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
But to me, it's so beautiful to watch.
Yes.
It's just delightful. And whenever I have watched ballet, I've just been in awe of what they're doing.
Yes.
And I can't imagine the strength and training it takes to do that.
Many, many, many hours, especially if you dedicate yourself to that form of dance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, you're teaching on almost a daily basis,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I am.
So, and you do all ages when you're teaching.
Yes.
I love that. And what did you tell me? 7 through 18 and even adult.
From 7 to 70 we have at the FIPS
I
Center.
love that. And you've actually got a student who's 70.
Yes.
How wonderful.
It is good.
And that person must be really in good shape.
They are. It keeps ballet and all forms of dance keep you in very good shape.
Just amazing.
It is.
So then as you were getting older, were you dancing in various recitals?
Yes, I did various recitals, and then when you get serious about one form of dance, like I did about ballet, then I transferred to a school that did all classical ballet.
Oh.
And that was probably when I was about 10 or 11. And then you study just that one form.
That's just amazing.
It was good.
So you were already spending many hours.
Yes, about 5 days a week at that point in my age, and in the studio every day for 2 hours. And then as you get older, 15, 16, it increased to 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then once you turn professional, you're in the studio every day, class in the morning from 10 to 11:30, rehearsals from 1 o'clock until 4 or 5.
Oh my.
Yes, so it takes a lot of dedication.
It does. It really does. It's just, I hadn't realized it would be so involved that early.
Yes.
And now, were there auditions for various roles at this point?
There were. Everyone always did a nutcracker. And so, yes, depending on your level and your age, you would move up in the nutcracker. First year you would do one of the smaller things, and middle better, and later on, hopefully, a soloist role.
Right, right. And as I had mentioned to you earlier, that was one of my favorites, and I think it's probably one of the most well-known.
Yes.
Because I know that at one point we took 5th graders in Hudson to that ballet.
Yes.
And I did a lot of prep with them for that, to prepare them for what they would see, but also to appreciate that art.
Yes.
Because not everybody looks at it and says, oh, that's great. I mean, sometimes people get kind of odd about it. And there's a lot of things in music and art that are that way. Because I know my husband, being an art teacher, would go to the Institute, and he had to prep his high schoolers
Yes.
because they're going to see some things they wouldn't normally see.
And all the ballet schools usually have tremendous sets for Nutcracker that they can use from year to year, and costumes that are passed down from year to year. And so it becomes, you know, a big event for every school to do the Nutcracker.
Yes, I totally get it. Now, were you in an area where you were close to a major school or something?
I grew up in Richfield, but then when I first went, I went downtown, in the uptown area, and there was a large ballet school down there.
All right.
And so that's where I started. Then from there, I was lucky enough to be asked to go to Europe. And so,
Really? And tell me where you studied then in Europe and how that went.
I went on an exchange program there were some St. Paul dancers, and I was one of those. And then we went to Cannes, France.
Oh, wow.
Yes, right on the French Riviera.
Oh, that's a beautiful area.
It was. It is.
Oh, my.
And we studied with Rosella Hightower, and then 5 exchange students from there came to St. Paul to study.
Oh, I see.
So
was that like a major theater then with the ballet and?
Yes, it was major theater and ballet connected together.
And then you were doing various performances, I'm sure.
We did performances, yes, in Switzerland, and that was exciting, in Rome.
Yes, how lovely.
Yes.
Oh,
it
how
was
beautiful.
great.
And I think, well, even in music, I look often to Europe for the most wonderful background.
Yes.
In music and composing and everything else.
And the theaters. I mean, they're just so wonderful to be in all that architecture.
Well, yeah, most of them are so old and so antique and just beautiful.
Yes.
So there's quite a tradition there.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you then, who influenced you the most as an instructor?
I think I had 4 or 5 teachers. And they all used to dance, or a lot of them danced with the old Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, because they were mostly European.
I see.
And so that was the largest company that was around years ago, when they were still dancing.
So that was quite a bit of inspiration for you.
Yes. And I was lucky to have teachers that taught different styles of classical ballet.
Oh, there are different styles.
There are.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, what about the language barrier?
There's no language barrier because, well, there is when you go to a different country, but all classical ballet is taught in French, no matter what country.
Really?
Yes. So I was lucky enough to take French for 5 years, so I was pretty well set up for that before I went.
Oh, yes, I had not known that.
Yes, it's universal language is French in all schools.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
So are you saying the French ballet would be quite revered?
Yes.
And probably the one that everyone looks up to.
I think that, but the Russians, I mean.
Oh, yes, I have heard about
yes.
Russian ballet coming to the cities,
Yes,
different performances.
Yes, and they work the Vaganova technique. And so that's also, but their language is French when they're actually teaching the ballet classes.
I think that's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Because it's like a universal language.
It is. So dancers could roam all over the world, which of course they did in Europe. One time you'd be dancing in the Netherlands, and the next time.
Right.
And they would all understand what they were supposed to do because the language was universal.
Oh, I admire you so much for doing that.
Yes.
It's such a difficult language, I think, but I'm not well versed in it. So how did you end up at the FIPS?
I came to the FIPS because I returned to the cities and I was looking for something to do, some place to teach. I had wonderful teachers, and because I myself got into real classical ballet a little bit late in life, I did other forms of dance, but went strictly to ballet at age 12, and I was behind. So I had to work twice as hard to catch up.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of how I started that. But my teachers all said, we see in you that you would make a very good teacher. And so they would help me after classes, and I'd write out my classes and learn why they put things together this way and that way from many different teachers. So they taught me how to be a teacher.
Oh, that's just wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, and how many lives you're influencing with this style of dance.
Yes.
And oh, wow. I just am really impressed with you. Now, tell us about your classes at the FIPS.
I'm one of the ballet teachers that are there.
Yeah.
And I teach ages 8 up through about 18 there, and I have a few adults that pop in and take class as well.
Right. So it must be pretty popular.
It is
A
popular.
lot of students drawn from Hudson and maybe the area.
Yes, from the local area as well.
Nice.
Yes.
And we both know of, I know of one of your students, so I'm hearing about it from
Yes.
from that aspect too, and I think it's just marvelous. Now, when you're teaching a class, how long will that go?
Some classes are an hour to an hour and 15,
Oh, yeah.
and then if you add point onto it, most classes are an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
So it can be anywhere depending on what the student's needs are.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Yes.
I was just curious. I don't know if you can answer this, but what would the cost be for a ballet class?
It generally runs about $10 a class, which is pretty universal between the cities and here, and yes.
And then you must have a certain length of session, or do you have like 6 weeks or?
Sometimes it runs that way. Most schools will go September through May because it involves a lot of the school kids, so we
school
keep
year.
it the same school year.
Yeah, that works well, I think.
Yes, and then we offer summer classes. So
Oh, yes, we were going to talk about that, and you called it summer camp.
summer camp.
And when, do you happen to know when that starts?
Those begin the second week in June,
Okay.
and then they'll finish about the third week in August.
That would be a great time for the students when they're off from school.
Yes,
So I suppose they run during the day then?
they do, and some evenings. They don't want to get rusty, so
Well, that's true. If you
Yes.
took the summer off,
yes.
that would be difficult.
It is a little bit difficult, but they're outside more and getting more exercise
Oh,
too,
yeah,
so that's good.
True.
It's
Very
good to be well-rounded.
Yes, it is. And I know how it is with playing the piano and singing. You can't just stop for months
Right,
because you go back and you have to relearn and redo and
right.
work harder,
Yes,
like you said.
yes.
Well, I was just curious, who are your favorite artists when it comes to ballet?
I have
Do you
so
have any favorites?
I have so many.
So many.
I think
oh.
Mikhail Baryshnikov because
Oh, I know that name.
Yes, and
Yes.
he was quite the Russian dancer, but he still was a very good human being
Oh, that's
when you
nice
learn
to
about his
hear.
life. Yes, and he's
know that.
older now, and he has an older company. And
Really?
Yes. So
He's still involved.
he's still involved.
Now,
Yes.
is he in Russia then?
He's
or-
here in the States.
Oh,
Yes.
he's moved here
Yes, yes. But it's just so cool that he
then. Yeah.
wanted to continue, and he did good things for the older dancers, because as we all age, we get forgotten a little
Yes.
bit.
Well, of course. It's that way in other art too sometimes.
It is. It is.
Unfortunate, but
Yes.
so that would be one of yours. That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
Now I have to ask you about music because I love music so much. And so what is some of your favorite music to do ballet to?
I think for the younger ones, it's the more recognizable pieces. So things from Nutcracker, Strauss waltzes.
Oh, yes.
A lot of them have studied it in school, which is great.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I kind of ask them, what did you do in music class? And then
yes.
sometimes I'll pick one of those for their recital piece
Oh, really?
because they already know the music.
That's wonderful.
For the older ones and the more advanced ones, it gets to be Stravinsky or something that's a lot more tricky in timing. And
Yes, I can imagine because Stravinsky is quite renowned as a composer, and it's very unusual music in some regards.
Yes.
I mean, it was the avant-garde at one time,
right,
and now, of course, we have more contemporary artists. But
Yes.
but yeah, I had to study Stravinsky a bit. Rite of Spring. And
yes, and yes, and that's really cool because I think that ballet has gone now contemporary also, which is just a passage from classical to the next step.
oh yeah.
So there's contemporary ballet, so you feel with that music you can move in a more full way.
Yes.
And the classics will never go away, but the younger dancers want to be
Oh, I suppose.
pushed in that direction, stretched in that direction.
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I asked you that question because it's true, because I know when I was teaching music, they always wanted to do their music.
Yes.
And that was always a fight because we wanted them to know about the masters.
Yes.
And you always have to start with the masters and then you go from there. But yeah, it's true. Usually in the end of the year, they got a little more pop music. But,
Yes.
but still has to be quality, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's important, I think, for anything.
I do too.
So now you're going to have many performances on Saturday, May 16th. And there's many different times and age groups.
Yes,
Would you like to tell us about that?
I sure would. There's a children's recital, and that's from at noon and 2 o'clock at the Phipps Center in the main theater.
Oh, lovely.
And right followed by that is the teen and adult program, and that runs from at 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock.
So you're really going all day
Yes, we'll be there from 9 in the morning until 9 at night.
and into the evening, and
Yes.
you're involved in every group.
Yes, which is wonderful, as a lot of the other teachers are as well.
Now, this astounded me. I asked you this question a little bit earlier. How old are they when they start?
4 to 5 years old, and
I
that's
can't believe that.
it's creative.
Yeah.
So you're introducing some of the ballet things, but making it fun so that they really enjoy the movement, and you can sneak in a step or two as you're working with that. But the main thing is to get them excited about it, dance.
Now, I can't imagine a 5-year-old.
Oh, you put them in the little pink leotard
Oh,
and
yeah.
tights and shoes, and all of a sudden they're transported to the next future ballet dancer, because
Oh, my.
we require that they have something like that to wear so that it gives them the sense of
Yes.
purpose,
Uh-huh.
and that their hair is tied back. So
Oh, yes.
it's a whole regiment,
See.
and
That's
they love it.
and it's really a way of life. Once you get
Yes.
into ballet, you
Yes,
don't second guess any of that. You're just
Right.
there and you're doing it.
right.
And I've seen some pictures in the paper, and I recognize some of the kids, and they're just darling.
They are.
And I don't know who would not aspire to be a dancer or a ballet dancer.
Yes.
Because as a young girl, I always admired it, but I had no opportunities around me, that's for sure.
There's a lot of opportunities now, and I'm really glad that parents are able to take
Yes.
hold of that and to really let the
I
kids
agree
explore
with
it.
you.
And all forms of dance are good.
Yes,
They
that's
are.
true.
They really
There are
are.
many, many other forms too, and,
Yes.
as you mentioned, you're into jazz a bit?
I was when I was younger,
Oh, lovely.
and then I picked classical ballet as the one that felt the best to me. But I think if you introduce them, they'll know. They'll let you know which one is the one that they really love.
I think that would be very competitive at some point.
It's competitive, but it also teaches you a lesson about, what kind of person do you want to be. You can either play the game or you can rise above it, and you can just do your thing. And most of the ballet dancers that I know were kind people. They really were.
Oh,
And you
that's
always are happy when someone else got a role.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yes. So
Very nice, because
Yes.
sometimes in the movies,
In the movies,
they
yes.
portrayed it in a different way, and I don't know that that's necessarily true.
it's half true, to
Okay,
be honest.
So you know, because you've been through that.
Yes, but there's also, it depends on who your teacher is, how they handle situations, and how you handle it yourself. So,
Oh, that's a very good point you just made. Now, that particular recital on May 16th, it is open to the public.
it is.
And how much would tickets be?
Tickets are $5.
Oh, my, that is so reasonable.
It's very reasonable, yes.
Oh, and I'm sure the parents support you totally.
They do. They're happy that we do what we do with them at the FIPS.
Yes.
And the
very
FIPS is so good to all of us, too. It's amazing.
Yes, I think it's just a wonderful place for our town.
Yes.
I truly enjoy all the arts, and that they're fostering that art of dance is important.
Yes. And everything else they do.
Well, I
The
agree.
The theater programs.
Everything is wonderful.
Yes. Music lessons, yes.
Now, we are going to put some things up on the screen as far as the box office
Great.
contact information, because I think you said you have to get your tickets at the box office.
Yes, they need to be purchased through the FIPS box office.
So we can put that up then, and we also have a phone number too, but I know that's important. And you also told me that tickets are selling,
Yes, they are.
and that
They are
theater
selling.
holds about 235.
Right around there, 230, something like that.
So I
yes.
do know things sell out.
Yes.
Right.
So if you want to go, you better move on it.
Now, can you give us a little preview of some of the music?
The music's going to be very varied because there'll be jazz, because the dance is. So there'll be modern, contemporary, and I can't really tell you exactly
No,
every
that's
piece
okay.
that
I was
people are
just-
doing,
Yeah.
but it will be well done, for sure.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
I just thought of one other thing. Do you think, like, the Disney movies and the Cinderella thing and all these different portrayals, do they usually have a little bit of dance in there so that the kids kind of get involved and they really get inspired?
I think that has helped amazingly.
I would think so.
You know, the little ones, we actually give them a little sticker. When they're 4 and 5 years old, they get to pick a sticker if they listen in class.
Oh,
they
I
do-
like that.
Yes. So right at the end of class, and then they get to take their sticker and dance to whatever princess they have, or Frozen, whatever.
Really?
Yes.
And of course, that's so big right now.
Yes.
The Frozen.
And it gives them freedom, a little bit of freedom, but also rewards them for all of their efforts.
Because I'm sure they're watching it and they're imitating as
Yes.
much as they can.
Yes,
And I know that one has been so popular.
it really has.
And then I think about other musicals from years ago where they would have a ballet scene. And I thought it really added to the musical, and it would always be enacting something that they wanted to share with the audience that maybe they couldn't say, or
Yes, I think that's very true.
So I think
You know?
I think that's something I have noticed in a lot of musicals that I've watched and enjoyed so much through the years.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm thinking about Carousel.
Carousel, West Side Story.
West Side Story,
Yes.
and that was it. Symphonic Dances. I just heard that recently,
Yes.
and that must have been a ballet of some kind.
It was true
That's what I'm
ballet.
thinking.
Yes.
Okay.
As well as jazz, but yes.
Yeah, and then there's always something in there that takes you to another level.
Yes.
And you can't just sit and watch and go, "Oh, that's nice," but you're like learning. You're really expounding, or you're rather inspired to learn more, because like I would never know what the ballet people had to do to get to that level, but it would be so neat to watch.
Yes.
And I knew it would be a big challenge.
Yes.
So you must get a lot of challenges and a lot of joy from teaching.
I do. I do. Very much.
And I think you've got just the right personality, and I can just see where the students would enjoy that, because I don't know, sometimes I think teachers are a little too harsh or a little too demanding. But I think maybe I'm watching too many movies.
No, I think they can be. I mean, but I guess it's just if you can convey the love that I have and the experiences, the good ones,
Yes.
all the good ones that I had to them, then they get excited about it too.
Okay, well, one more question.
Okay.
It just came to me now. What will happen in the fall with your program?
We'll keep on going, and we add classes if we have more students. So they'll be offering the full spectrum of classes that they always do.
All right.
And
So it'll start in September.
it start in
probably.
September, around the second week right after school, and go
Okay.
through May again.
Well, that is
Yes.
just wonderful. I'm so glad that I got in contact with you
Me too.
and that we learned about ballet today. And I hope the audience enjoyed this too, because I know I've learned so much from you, Marcia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on this show.
You are so welcome.
And I hope you enjoyed it and have learned. And I hope you can visit the FIPS sometime for a recital or maybe attend some ballet in the cities.
That would be great.
So thank you very much for watching today.
Thank you.